Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're here for another episode of our Hawk Nest series, episode 7. Gavin, we've been doing this for a while now.
We have been, haven't we?
Yeah, but we took a little break.
We
It's
did.
been like a month. Hopefully,
A
some of
month
you
off.
joined us out at the customer summit that we had last week. I was unfortunately not able to make that myself, but Gavin, I believe you stopped in once or
I was
twice.
there. Yep, I was
We heard
there. Yeah.
lots of good feedback, and we're hoping to continue that conversation here today with the next set of our kind of trilogies of Hawk Nest series. We were trying to run these together here with a theme. I think we're really going to be leaning into some of our smart search stuff here. I guess let's do some quick introductions for those of you who might not know who we are. I'm Jonathan Meyer, one of the senior solutions engineers. I'm basically on any webinar that Hawk Search does here, so you're probably familiar with me. You haven't do a quick introduction yourself there.
Yeah, my name's Gavin. I'm the VP of Sales here at Hawk Search, and yeah, I'm on a fair amount of webinars myself as well. You'll also probably recognize me from a lot of conferences, customer events. You kind of name it, I'm out on the ground at most spots that Hawk Search is attending. Yeah,
I feel like we could do the Simpsons. You might remember me from such films as Troy McClure.
Seriously.
Anyways, we can get started here because today we're going to be talking about some of the smart search functionality with our boosting and burying in just kind of the merchandising in general. Gavin, I guess I'll let you kind of tackle this because I'll be driving the back half here talking about the demonstration.
Yeah, and like all of our other Hawk Nest episodes, this one is a kind of a short, very digestible approach to some of the really kind of cool feature sets that we have going on within Hawk and our new AI feature sets as well. So what we really wanted to talk about today is really kind of the big key difference you're going to get now when you're dealing with Hawk Search's AI versus a lot of what you see in the market from an algorithmic search perspective. So obviously Hawk Search is really, put together by a couple really key areas. So one is our keyword search. And if you've been a part of any of these other Hawk Nest webinars before, you're really going to know the functionality, but then you also understand the marketing and merchandising that goes along with a keyword perspective. This is simple things like maybe boosting a generic brand or personalizing, a customer login or an entitlement, or maybe you have some account restrictions on catalog exposure, different price listings, recommendations even to this point. So a lot of the keyword merchandising that goes into play is often overridden when you start implementing algorithmic search. This is where Hawk Search really kind of separates itself, I think, from our competition in the market, where all of that keyword merchandising and kind of customer experience that you're creating through product promotions and everything like that now remains in play when you add our concept search to the program. So you're really kind of getting multiple benefits applied in your direction now. So you've got your merchandising, or maybe you've got a customer experience team that has spent all of this time putting together a very unique shopping experience for your customers. You've got maybe promotions running, you've got a campaign running, you've got spotlighted products. All of these do not disappear anymore. And this is a really cool thing with the new algorithmic search with us. And what it's also allowing us to do is kind of take the best of both now. So you've got a keyword approach. So if you want to simply go with, a keyword or partial, maybe a SKU number or product code or anything along those lines, that normally returns you kind of a faceted search. You can dive in a lot deeper. And a competitive way of doing the competitive kind of model is with the algorithmic, all of that goes away, and you're really relying on what the algorithmic search is returning. Doesn't give you the ability to kind of even deep dive a little bit further on that return search. So we have now combined those, and this is kind of that advanced user set that you can now get when you implement our smart search. So you can kind of do a concept search, which opens up, which is kind of ask a question, what do I need for this, or what do I need for that, or, what could you recommend? And we're going to return things through that relationship and everything. But then you're able to go even one step further and then start using a faceted approach and then deep dive even further in than just having those results applied to you. So very exciting stuff. We're really excited for this. And I think we're probably going to jump into a demo and kind of show how this all works.
We can.
Awesome.
Right into it. Right here. We're just going to go right into the demonstration. Let me actually share my screen here. So we're going to stop for a second, and I will add in our our demonstration here. Hang on just a second.
Hmm.
And the cool thing about this as well is that we're really looking at driving a couple of different things there. So Gavin, you kind of rightly hit the nail on the head there, that this is a big differentiator in kind of the way that you typically see AI driven search results and how the marketing and merchandising has worked in the past. So one of the great things that's always been available with the kind of classic keyword search is that you can do things, like, we'll do our classic kind of hiking shoes example here. When we're doing that kind of search here, in the back end of the tool, we've set up a lot of different things to help drive the right results that we want our visitors to be able to see when they're doing the search for business use cases. We want to drive a nice merchandising banner that appears when this shows up. We've got different items that are being highlighted. There's boost and bury rules. If we go into the back end of the tool here and we look at what's going on behind the scenes when we're doing this kind of keyword search for the term hiking shoes, we can see all of this different stuff happening in the background, where we've got that merchandising banner, we've got our pinned item, we've got boost and bury rules being impacted by this. And what's really going on in the back end of the tool here is that HawkSearch is looking at these from a rules-based perspective. To, again, as everyone's familiar with the rest of the tooling here, we're able to do things like with our boosting and burying rules and our item pinning, all of this kind of merchandising functionality that Gavin was just kind of name checking there. All of this now carries over into what we would consider more of that large language model, that AI-driven search here, where you can ask more questions based on. So, I can just say, I need hiking shoes. Let's just do something pretty straightforward there. And you can see that we're still getting back in that merchandising banner here, even though we've now switched over to that large language model experience. The item pinning that we had let here, so that men's Grand Canyon shoe, those women's Eclipse shoes that were highlighted before in our preview here when we're looking at this from just the keyword search perspective. All of that's still carrying over. We still have that merchandising banner that's being appeared here. We still have that pinned item appearing here. The concept search is finding different results, but that women's Azure shirt that we have here, or women's Eclipse, that is part of that boosting rule. So it's showing up here towards the top of these results. So all of that kind of merchandising that you set up carries over into these AI-driven experiences, where you're not then having to create new rules to account for these other use cases, where you created all of this logic. You have all this business use case logic in place here. We want to promote our in-house brands. We want to bury what's out of stock. We have different segmentations. So maybe you've got different, what's important in California, what's important versus, these different warehouses. All of that kind of logic carries forward into the concept searches, even actually the image based search here. If we were to say that we're looking for and describe the image, as long as the kind of triggers show up in that same place, we've eliminated that friction between, well, what kind of search are we submitting? Which means that when you're creating a rule within the HawkSearch backend, let's just take a look at one of these boost rules here. We'll go ahead and jump into it. The same trigger basically just applies. That's all that we're really looking for here. So it's the same kind of setup in the back end of the tool here. What's the the name of it? What's the items that you do want to boost and bury? What's the trigger here? And this trigger is really now much more inclusive. It doesn't historically in the past, and for basically all of our competitors, when you're switching over to a different kind of search, a large language model search, an image-based search, basically it's being treated as an entirely different kind of experience. And while from a search results perspective, we are definitely looking at that, we recognize that one of the limitations with that approach is that then you're basically then having to create all of your marketing and merchandising all over again to say, oh, well, when someone does includes the term hiking shoe in a large language model AI-driven concept-based search, I would now need to create a whole new rule. And we realized that that was obviously not a very effective use of everyone's time here. And so we've gone back into the tool and changed it so that you can really leverage any of these same kind of merchandising triggers. Keyword trigger, you can do, again, that visitor targeting, so that segmentation is carried over into this. If we're doing fasting and filtering, maybe I want a certain brand image to show up when someone would make a selection from a brand. That's something that's available within HawkSearch as well, but now you're not limited to, oh, well, it only needs to happen when someone is doing a keyword search or when someone is doing a concept search. These same merchandising rules are firing off regardless of what experience we're talking about here. So if we're doing a concept search or if we're doing a keyword search, we can get the same merchandising happening in the back end to make sure that the right business goals are being delivered upon.
And something to really highlight here too is the relevancy component. HawkSearch's primary focus is the relevancy side of things. So you're really going to always get an accurate display. So not only based on how you've maybe structured the results to return, But if you even allow the concept search itself, the relevancy is always going to place the most accurate product in the first. And in this case, you can see it's kind of a little asterisk there. So obviously it's a pinned item. So you can kind of see how this is going to start really being beneficial to them, a use case perspective. The concept search is going to open up all sorts of parts of your your catalog, but it's also going to really display all of the items that you've already kind of structured as you want first. So you're getting large kind of catalog exposure. You're getting the brand or the product that you're driving, maybe your highest margin items that you want returned or anything along those lines. And then you can even scroll down further into the page, and then we do have the faceted search. This is a very different component that a lot of the algorithmic search has. It returns the results, and that's your result. This now allows you to kind of even breadcrumb yourself further into the catalog based on a large language model question or a keyword question. You just the amount of options you have now to get to your product and really give a really unique user experience for your customers, is going to help drive that revenue for you.
And Gavin, I think this highlights something that was really interesting that we've, obviously we have a lot of conversations internally and with our clients about kind of where this AI functionality is going and what the benefits of it are. And this ability for us to continue to drive faceting and filtering here, I think, again, is one of those important distinctions, because what we're seeing here is that, when someone does a more kind of concept-based search, and the idea of, I need a coat for my son, need a coat for my son, put the right language in there. We can have the marketing and merchandising in the background parsing this and influencing, okay, what brands are showing up, doing different promotions here, while the tool is still being able to understand, well, okay, you've said coat, that can mean jacket. You said son, that means that we're looking for younger terminology, toddler, boys, youth, those kinds of things as part of the prompt description. But maybe your visitor wants to still refine against a particular color. Maybe they're looking for a different brand name. Maybe they're looking for maybe the search results returned in different results, and you still want them to be able to refine against that. With a lot of other approaches that we're seeing out there in the market for this, once you switch over to that kind of, I'm going to let the machine decide what the results are, you lose access to your visitors being able to really refine. So if something is funky with those results, there's no way for them to refine
to adjust it. Yeah. And especially our verticals. We live in the B2B space. So, obviously we're showing this on a little bit more of a retail level, which isn't quite as complex. But when you start applying this sort of searching capability into, you've got a 500,000, parts catalog, and you really need to start getting specific. This is that option that allows you to do it. So you can come in, you can ask a question, what size, end cap do I need, or however this could be. And then you can scroll in and you can get all your different measurements. You can expand, so the options for getting your customer to your product as quickly as possible, regardless of the methodology on the search, is really what we're trying to accomplish here. And then this also gives you the business use case to drive the profitable items or the items high moving value stuff. And you can really have a lot of fun with how you want to structure the results. And there's the business end result, which is going to drive that revenue and the online order conversions, which everyone's looking to do. But then we're also providing a very kind of sleek and unique kind of experience from your customer perspective as well.
And again, just to drive this home, because I think we've run into this several times when we talk about kind of the image-based searching here, where we're saying, okay, I want to upload an image, especially when we think about in the B2B space. It might be a washer, and that washer might look like 1,000 other washers that are in the space, but the visitor might not have known what to reference that by. Or maybe they're just looking to speed things up, and I'm going to just take a photo of this and I want to find it. Well, then you can still rely on the fasting and filtering to say, okay, hey, the image search has found these things that look similar to that. Now the visitor doesn't need to do that keyword search. They can start using things like, I need a particular size, a particular material. We're really streamlining that process here by still bringing back in these fasting and filtering options. And again, all the business logic on top of that. It's just such a differentiator than what we're seeing out in the space, where someone would say, oh, well, image search, it's not going to really pull back in the exact results, because our product is very similar. We're really talking about degrees of separation when it comes to part A versus part B. It might only be a size difference or a material difference. But this is one way that you can streamline that. Let that image search find those products that are visually similar here. And then the visitor's halfway there already. Now they're just kind of, it's almost like a product finder. Let me take a photo of it. You're going to show me what the results are. and then I can make the selections from the faceting and filtering here to
Exactly.
find exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and for anybody that's not using Hawk or is interested in Hawk, obviously we love to sit down, do a little bit of discovery with you, and dig into your use cases. And if you're interested with, learning more about this, obviously we have our QR codes in the corner, and we'll have one at the end here. By all means, scan one of those in. But if you are using a competitive, AI feature set, try doing a search. Try trying to manipulate your search results and see kind of where those limitations start applying to you, and maybe we can help resolve some issues for you.
Yeah, and I think that we're at time here, so I guess this makes a good point.
We are on time today.
We're on time for once here.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's. So you got the QR code. Gavin, 100% correct there. Scan those QR codes. We'd love to have a further conversation with you. But yeah, we'll end this one on time here. 15
First
minutes.
time.
And
now we're over a bit. Yeah.
We talked
close. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
chatting with you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.